It seems when we do get technical issues, it's like catastrophic, cannot do anything for that whole day though. Like, I remember spectator mode going completely down for 2 days and we're just kind of itching our heads, not too sure what to do. But we are back into the picks and bans once again for the 3rd time. Hopefully, 3rd time will be a charm and we can get into this first game of the semi-finals. If you weren't aware, it is a best of 3. So still plenty of League of Legends action. And for you that have just joined us, you've not missed a single thing.
Yeah, so we actually played the quarterfinals like 5 days ago, just so not to clash with the LCS, which makes a lot of sense because later on today we will be not clashing with the LCS. It will be happening in North America. So again, AA has been banned from MeetYourMakers and NUB. Bit of disrespect now from Eternity to the competitors who didn't take the time to spell out their opponent's name.
It is some retribution, I think. It's like, guys, we spelled that MYM and you just weren't bothered, so now you can have a nub thrown right in your face. So it is going to be a case that all the champions have been picked and locked in very quickly, so Pulse, it looks like, finally, we could be jumping into that first game.
And indeed the break. But yes. Yeah, like Renekton top, I'm thinking about, do we know who the top laner was? Because when you start commenting about something, you want to finish your sentence, and then you try to fill for as much time as you can before the picks are actually picked again, so that you don't look like an idiot. And it will be Olaf top lane. Okay, so that makes a little more sense. Gives us a little bit of time to think about that. But anyway, guys, we will be jumping into a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll be in the first game of the first semi-final we have today of MeetYourMakers and Eternity Gaming. We'll see you soon. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the first semi-finals of today with MeetYourMakers and Eternity Gaming. This is EUS Challenger Series number 17, and we are already into a pause. But we are unpausing, so that was perfectly timed. I am Pulse, I am joined by Metas.
Hey Pulse, hey viewers, it's crazy when I'm hearing you talking about it being EUS Challenger Series number 17. I remember back to the very first one, Pulse, now, which must have been a year ago, maybe even longer. But that being said, this is pretty interesting. All 10 players are pushing down at bot lane.
Yeah, they are converging on this bottom, but we might already see some action. MeetYour's leading the charge in this one. We'll see if the hook has been specced in. Indeed, it has. Death sentence, but he's been kind of separated from his team here, and no one's actually hitting one yet, but Kubon has thrown the first axe.
Yeah, as Ruthless Predator was picked up first from MeetYour, but he was unable to get close enough to actually land out the way. Oh, Morth has been caught from the death sentence. So much damage from the boomerang blade as well. Morth could be falling right now. Ignite's ticking down. He comes in the first blood from Sivir. So beautiful start right off the bat from MeetYourMakers.
Yeah, once they'd cornered him, it was just a matter of who did they want this kill to go to, and it was going to go to Sivir. So because that happened so early, it's actually given Makler time to not respawn, go back to spawn, pick up some items, and go back into lane and actually pick up that advantage. Because typically, you'll, like, get the first blood and then not be able to recall. In fact, he's not even recalling. Okay, fine. Fine, Makler, prove me wrong. But, like, usually you do not get to capitalize on your first blood and get that extra, those items in. But because there's only 300 gold, the amount of gold you get is actually reduced in the early phases of the game, up until 4 minutes, I think. So, they're actually going to just stick around and try and pick up this blue buff away from them, which is spawning about now.
Yep, 3 of them coming around. It's going to be a 3 versus 3 situation. Morph does have that damage, though, from the blue golem. They're going in for the rinse and repeat. They get that second kill onto Morph, steal the blue away. This is about as good a start as you could ask for from MeetYourMakers' perspective. My goodness, this is going to knock Morph way, way back on Nocturne.
And I could not think of a more horrific start for a Nocturne player.
Yeah.
Like, 0 farm right now, 0, 2, and 0. Did he get any XP from that? No, he didn't. He's going to try and take red buff. It's probably going to destroy him. He probably used one of those pots. In fact, he didn't, which isn't too bad. But 0-2 at this stage in the game, going to find it incredibly difficult to catch up. Nocturne's goal early game is basically use the double buff while you have it, then farm your way to level 6, and then try and get those ganks off. He's not going to hit level 6 until, like, maybe a couple minutes after Mokata, and that's if Mokata doesn't choose to carry on counter jungling, and he's playing a Lee, so he probably will.
And this also has a knock-on effect as well, Pulse, because Morth, as you say, Nocturne wants to get to 6 so desperately. This is going to make him want to farm and just get to 6, which is going to leave all of his lanes very bare of ganks. So again, this is allowing MeetYourMakers to say, okay, Nocturne's going to by and large be useless for the next 5 minutes. Let's just push the lanes and get as much farm as we can. And Dominance, Stratagas has been caught at bot lane, but will be relentless pursuing back to his own tower.
Yeah, and Nocturne's lanes do not naturally win. Like, Kubon versus MeetYour, like, Renekton early games should be able to bully around Olaf, but he just needs a couple levels to get some more damage into Wreck the Swing, then he just starts pushing him out. Again, that's the only kind of dodgy lane Elise can actually offer some assistance. The call has been made that there's a ward right in that place, so in that bush, Mokata can't actually gank, but he might just loop all the way around, or indeed look for Nocturne. That's another alternative. Mid lane, you need to shut down you because Katarina is going to become an issue at some point or another during team fights. Gragas won't be able to push her out of lane by himself. He comparably has a pretty weak early phase until level 6 when he has that engaged. Katarina's going to be quite happy to poke him with bouncing blades all day. Bottom lane, you're running Karma with Lucian, and Carmen needs the wave to be basically out of the way so she can land her own harass. Libic, however, is quite happy to get up in their faces, throw down those auto attacks. So all over the board, they will gradually start to get pushed back.
So just, you know, going back on to what you were saying before, as I'm actually about to say this, again, Stratagas is taking quite a bit of damage from the Libic and Makler combination. Boomerang Blade comes in. Elise is also stealing away Wraith Camp. There's really nothing that Morth can do about this. So, again, it's just a case of Mokata getting way ahead. Cocoon has landed. Plenty damage when it comes down. In fact, the spell shield was there, turning this one back around. Here comes Tyrannus from the side. So, they could be looking to retort back on, forcing the flash away after the repel. And now Tyrannus is going back in. He's hungry. Ignite comes down. Do they have the raw damage output to pick up Tyrannus right now? It doesn't look likely. Flash in from Charu. He's going to pick up the kill, get the reset, and get himself away. So, 1-for-1 trade with Tyrannus picking up a kill, but then going down himself. herself.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade. However, that double buff went to Gragas, then got picked up by Chuyu. And all in all, I'm pretty sure that Makasa's going to be very happy with that result. It doesn't really matter as long as they went even. Just the fact that Katarina's got the double buff and will now just naturally again win her lane, even though that's a kind of favourable matchup anyway. Top lane are going at it. Kubon's just kind of throwing out the damage. MeetYour, no, he's not going to go any deeper. It's kind of getting to the phases of the game here, metas, where MeetYour will naturally lose against Kubon.
Again bot lane though, Strategast is constantly being harassed from Libic. Another flay backwards and is forced to just back away and he has to recall. So the question I was going to ask you before all hell broke loose up around the Wraith camp was, what are your thoughts on Karma as a support? Because we've seen it a few times, but personally I'm still not sold on this champion.
She's a support who doesn't offer really too much in the laning phase unless you're laning with Sivir, because she can clear the minion wave out. You can land her Q, which is in a flame, and then maybe just throw out the mantra bonus of Soul Flare, and it just makes it a lot easier to land harassment. She trades really well, and MeetYour actually going on Kubon.
Yep, has popped off the Dominus and also the Ignite as well on Kubon, but he is able to back away. And I have just got some information from Kits who messaged me and said, that is not Charu, that is Corey, their new mid laner. So apologies for that. I'll make sure I remember to call him Corey in the future.
Yeah, I just kind of phased out. I knew Chuyu was a different player. They've subbed him in. He was actually playing with him a couple other times, and his champion pool is a little bit different. He's played a lot of Yasuo. I believe last time we casted him, Kits was telling me that he has an 80% win rate in ranked in challenger level, which is absurd. And we do see, well, MYM not completely collapsing right here, so I can go back to the Karma point. While there's a bit of low in the action. So Karma offers a lot in the mid game, late game. She doesn't offer too much in the laning phase. And that's one of the reasons. I'm not sure if you caught the Galio game. Makata, please stop getting caught. I want to finish this point.
Well, I'm not too sure if Morath has the damage, but he does have the cavalry coming in with Strategast and Nico. Plus Tyrannus is making his way from mid, so Makata will be falling down, and by all means, I was about to say continue the point, but now Libic is caught in the firing range. He's going to get feared against the wall, and he will be falling down from Lucian.
Yeah, that could have gotten better. 2 kills in the right places as well. They could well transition into a dragon. 4 members around here, they're going to go for it. Might require a bit of damage jungling, but they're not going to be too concerned with that. Katarina can't jump in and get those resets. No one even fell low from that engagement because it was kind of a chase engage. So this is exactly what Eternity need. They're going to get a spike in gold from the kills and a spike in gold from the dragon. So, going back into the Karma point, she's a lot like Galio in that sense. I'm not sure if you caught the game in LCS recently where they decided to pick up Galio, and I think that was N-rated picking up. Yeah, it was. And the reason that was picked up is because, not because he does very much in laning phase, in fact he does very little until level 6 because he has such high mana costs, but when you get to level 6, those flash engages are so unbelievably difficult to deal with, and if your team is getting ahead, you're going to have more items, supports now have more gold to play with, so it will start building tanky, then you basically have another lightning rod, another point on your team that's going to be an engager, and also does a ton of damage naturally when you go past those kind of mana issues with your mana pool as you start leveling up. So that's what Karma brings to the table.
Top lane again, MeetYour and Kubon, almost the carbon copy from the last time around, popping Dominus, forcing Kubon back, but he realises that he can stand toe-to-toe right now with Renekton and be by and large fine. I have to give mad props to Morath here, because we said before, pre-level 6, he's probably not going to have that much impact on the game. Couldn't be further from the truth here, Pulse. He's been involved in 3 kills, all 3 kills from Eternity as Tyrannus uses ultimate in mid, but Corey will manage to escape with the Shanpu.
Yeah, indeed, and the bot lane engage will come out from Nikos.
It certainly will. They're looking for this kill. Here comes the Paranoid as well. At the top lane, Makasi could be falling once again. Gets feared across. Will be picked up from Nocturne finally. And the action at bot does subside on top of that.
Yeah, so we said early game is going to be basically impossible for Moav to catch up, but honestly, I don't think it was so much that. It was more Makata just walking into his jungle and trying to counter jungle him as much as possible, getting caught twice, but not only as summoner, but 2 deaths so far, only from trying to counter jungle Moav, and the great reactions from Eternity have allowed them to catch up. It almost feels like, okay, we've got 2 kills early game, we'll play it like solo queue, and Makla just kind of backs off to turret using Lantern, but it was not because of the lanes, but mostly because of Makata being too aggressive.
Fully agree with you. Been caught around blue buff from Eternity, and they're caught on his own blue. So it just kind of turned this one round completely in favour now of Moth, who's also hit level 6. We saw before with that Paranoia used to finalise the kill in the aforementioned Elise. So this is going to put him back in the game here, Pulse, and because he's 6, there's a lot of terror on the side of MeetYourMakers as MikeYar's going low, but he does have Moth there at top.
Yeah, MikeYar, his dominance will be up fairly shortly, and Kuban's Ragnarok has actually been used a couple seconds ago. So Moth sitting in lane, he's got the Paranoia, he doesn't have the Paranoia as you pointed out, but he's level 7, will be doing a lot of damage with that Dust Bringer and just standard auto attack combination. And Kuban is heading a little too far forward.
He is, and that could definitely prove to be his downfall. He's going to be trying to finalise a kill onto MikeYar, but instead he'll be falling. Will the Ignite be enough? Yes, it will. So 1-for-1 trade, but that's with the assist gold on top of it going to Moth, and now he can actually try and pick up this tower, or at least do a big chunk of damage to it.
Yeah, the very last tick will pick up that kill onto Renekton, and that's basically all you could hope for in a situation like that from Kuban. He knew he wasn't going to escape, and the Unspeakable Horror will make sure of that, but trading 1 versus 1 and getting a kill is perfectly okay. Moaf gonna, again, try his best to take down this turret, but at least will be reacting. He knows it's taken so long for him to kind of bat away at the turret that someone will try and stop that from happening.
Yeah, but he did manage to put a good 3/4 of its hit points as damage up against that top tower, so still coming out fairly nice right now from Moth and Eternity's perspective, and they must have been getting a bit of a headache from that awful start that they saw around blue buff, losing that first blood as well onto the hands of Makla's Sivir. So I've got to say their recovery has been pretty sublime so far on this game, Pulse.
Yeah, Moaf has been spending so much time basically trying to catch up in this game. He's neglected mid lane and bottom lane. He's done something in top lane as we've already seen, but that's only gone even. Chuyu is winning. He's about 30 CS ahead. He's in really good shape, about to hit level 11, so when the Drake spawns in 2 minutes, they can definitely teamfight this as long as someone doesn't get caught out again. And bottom lane has been winning. They're almost just over 20 farm ahead, and they're not a kill ahead, but they're definitely ahead in that lane to the point where they can engage and be quite certain they'll win the trade.
Yep, thought for a second that Moth was going to come down to bot lane, but instead just plants himself a ward. Corey is recalling in the mid lane as well, so bit of a standstill, bit of a lull in the action here in this game. So this is going to allow us to take a bit of a breather, because it's been all systems go from the first minute, Pulse. But item-wise, is anything jumping out at you here from either side?
A lot of it's fairly common. We see a measly large rod already heading up for Katarina, and also the Phoenix Codex, which is the recipe for a Deathfire Grass, which is not something we see on Katarina all that often. Sometimes you'll go for like magic pen, sometimes you'll go for a more tanky build for survivability in teamfights and skirmishes. Or sometimes you'll just go for raw damage, and that definitely seems what Katarina's going for. But she's not typically seen as like a burst mage on a single target, but that will allow her to basically trade against Tarados, and there's nothing that he can really do against that when she picks up the Deathfire Grass. It's not something we see all the time, but it's something very common with a lot of mid laners like Gragas, like Orianna, like Ziggs, who like to go for either the Fiend's Unholy Grail, or like a big damage item like either the Deathfire Grass, which isn't all that common on all those mid laners, but more like a Rabadon's Death Cap. So this time Katarina's going more like along that route.
It seems to be a bot lane. It's just a case of Strategaz digging his claws in and trying his best to keep himself close to Makla, who, as we said before, got the first blood and is 22 CS above his counterpart. We do have a pause, as you can see, but we have 3 seconds left, and then we'll be going back to live once again in this first game out of a potential 3 in the semi-finals of EUW ChallengerSeries number 17. Again, it's crazy to think we're on that kind of number. That being said, though, North coming bottom again for potential gank, and he does have Paranoia available.
Yeah, and it looks like they're gonna go for this engage.
Yeah, there is the box. Libic trying his best to buy it. He carries some time, flashing his way as well. Here comes Mikate from the side, but he's way too squishy to deal with all this damage coming down, and instantly just forced to turn tail and run. So again, Paranoia coming in. They managed to pop off the ultimate, the flash, and the ignite from Libic.
Yep, that was just a really good read from the Kata, just being in the right place at the right time and counter-ganking the Paranoia ultimate, which is huge, because Moab won't have that for another 130 seconds, and that's a big thing off the board, especially with Dragon being actually respawning in about 10 seconds, Paranoia not being available and being able to just cut that vision and making it very difficult to teamfight under that scenario has already been taken away from them. And again, they're just applying the pressure onto this blue buff. Chuyu's down to about 50% HP, but so is Tarados, and now MYM looking for the collapse around this area. They're not going to let them take any buffs this game.
Yeah, they are trying to turn the screws here on Noarth and really shut him out this game, but again, this very well could backfire if just a couple good abilities come in. Blue buff has still not been picked up. Stratagas and Nico from the bottom could be looking to come around and flank, but Nico is so low that if he just catches a cocoon, he is going to die. So this could come down to who smites better on this occasion. It's going to be Mikata. There's the Dark Passage. They will manage to steal that blue buff and get away.
Neither team wanted to kind of brute force their way in because they were low enough where the other team could just sweep them up if they made the aggressive move. Especially from Eternity side, they did not want to regress onto MYM. Especially with a Katarina who's just hit level 11, has the Death Lotus at level 2. Do not want to go toe-to-toe with that because they will just all die. Again, another pause has come out, but it just kind of shows the potential of that team without really doing anything. Dragon has spawned. Elise again is very good at taking these objectives. Eternity just aren't really in shape to try and contest this.
Yeah, I'm just curious because we've not seen a great deal of action at top lane apart from a bit of toing and froing, so it's by and large pretty even. 1-1-1 to both of them, and a 13 CS lead to Kubon, which is really nothing to write home about at 15 minutes. Obviously has a slight advantage, but that's not going to be game-crushing for Mikey R. Around the rest of the board, it's very close as well, so I think it's going to come down to these close-knit fights around Dragon Pulse. It's going to start to tip the scales one way or the other.
Yeah, Renekton will also always bring a lot to a team fight. The AoE damage from Dominus, the AoE damage from most likely a Sunfire Cape, because this is kind of a tough lane. But Kubon is gradually getting ahead at this stage. He hasn't itemized for quite a while. I'm going to take a quick look at the gold. 1,400, which is a very similar story for Renekton. But he's about 10 CS ahead. And that really shows, because Mikey R just can't go blow for blow Kubon anymore. And the longer he stays in the top lane, the worse and worse it will get. And if the game kind of stagnates here, matters, then over time, Kubon will start to 1v1 him easier and easier, and then he'll just lose the trade straight up. So it's basically trying to accelerate the game into teamfights, into skirmishes. Otherwise, kind of, Renekton won't do anything apart from kind of stop Olaf from completely destroying all of their top lane towers.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the carries right now from Eternity going into that mid to later stages of this game, because we did highlight it in Champion Select and earlier in this game as well when we're live that there's a serious lack of CC on the side of Eternity, and you have characters like Katarina and Sivir just running around going rampant. So again, the later this game goes, the more emphasis is going to be put on Tyrannus and Stratagas to really up their game and make the big plays, because if they don't, there's really nothing they're going to be able to do to stop that tide of aggression coming down.
Yeah, like, Eternity are running just a very simple, solid teamfight composition. And it has a lot of mobility, it's got the Karma pickup as well, but they sacrifice their laning phase for that kind of privilege. They have decent siege, it's not amazing. The counter siege is pretty good with Piercing Light along with Dragon's Barrels and kind of the melee range of just also the Dustbringer. So they can counter siege fairly effectively, and they can kind of catch MYM if they try to be too aggressive. Case in point, looking at Mechanic getting caught all the way through the early game in that opposing jungle. But really, apart from that, metas, like Eternity, if they fall behind, they don't really do too much.
It's definitely going to be a steep mountain to climb if they do find themselves a good few thousand gold behind. So these dragons maybe have even more importance to them right now. Mikata, was lurking around the dragon, but he's pulled himself back. Moaf is just hanging around the bottom side of the map on the wolves right now. So maybe a case of getting a pick up bot lane pulse and then transitioning seamlessly to the dragon. You might not want to force it at these close-knit stages of this game.
Yeah, neither team wants to kind of brute force their way onto Dragon. However, if MYM wanted to, they would be in a better position. Nocturne's Paranoia isn't up for a little bit, but 20 seconds in it, it may be possible to have kind of mistimed the Paranoia ult. But I'm a little surprised that MYM haven't just jumped onto Dragon. They have had to go back for items, but at least makes it very easy to go for those early Dragon pickups. They are looking for a potential pick in the bottom lane, which would also help matters and basically mean you can take Dragon and there's no way you can contest it. And Gragas is kind of hanging around the area, making sure that Mikata doesn't just decide to solo the Dragon by himself.
But another scary thing is that Corey's Katarina has been given free reign to farm. That's 150, just shy of 150 at 16 minutes. So that means that the likes of, your Leandri's Torments, your Zhonya's hourglasses are going to be coming in quicker, which makes her even more difficult to contend with, because just when you think you've killed a Katarina, oh, I'm invulnerable, and now I'm shunpoing away again to the back of the fight. So it's a very slippery team to deal with.
It is, and Katarina is going to be the biggest linchpin in these fights, because as soon as she gets one reset, then the team fight is essentially over. It's all about trying to get that first kill though, and if they can get Livik with a catch onto a person on one of the carries perhaps, then the team fight will just deteriorate from the very start of it. So it really does come down to either winning the team fight like flat out from Eternity and keeping all the health bars up, because as soon as one person drops low, then Katarina is going to kill everyone.
Exactly. Reset Queen is Katarina, as we've seen time and time again from Alexa Scar at top lane though. Kuban could be falling to the tower and the Ignite. Nope, he's way too tanky, so we'll come out ahead in that 1 versus 1 situation at top, and that is going to be sending chills and alarm bells ringing for Eternity, as at the same time MeetYourMakers looking to try and force this dragon.
Yeah, and Terados is taking a lot of hits from Chuyu, but Chuyu's just been knocked in the right direction. Death Lotus being used, but kind of a love tap more than anything here matters. As Mowolf did manage to spell shield the vital cocoon, which would have resulted in his life being forfeit, because Fresh was very close behind. But either way, this should be the Drake, but Mowolf is still around to contest, and he has the Paranoia.
And he's a level above Mokata, so his smite's going to be doing more damage if he can get close enough. That being said, though, Corey's doing a nice job. Here comes the Paranoia. It's going to be Elise that gets the smite, though. So Mokata coming out ahead, once again in the smite wall. Last time around, it was blue buff, and they managed to get themselves away as well. So really nice play coming out from MeetYourMakers.
Yeah, and Chuyu was kind of caught out in the Dragon Pit, but it didn't matter too much. He did have to burn his ward for that. But still, a Dragon Throat ward, they will definitely take that trade. So 5-5. And MeetYourMakers are definitely ahead in this game. So take a quick look at the item builds again. Some fire capes being picked up by both of these top laners, which again is the kind of pickup you do expect in a kind of more slow-paced lane, because you'll be kind of bumping heads more than anything, trying to grind down your opponent, and the opponent who doesn't pick up the Sunfire cape will gradually lose the lane. And that will be a Deathfire Grass picked up by Katarina, which will allow kind of help him to get the first pickup of the team fight, because you'll be able to just hit someone with the Deathfire Grass, they'll take more damage from your combo, they'll die, then you'll get the reset. So I can definitely see the kind of idea behind that pickup.
Yeah, just going for raw burst. Again, it's going to be almost a case of Marth saying, whatever you can do, I can do better, coming in to try and steal this one away. And again, Mokata comes out ahead with the smite. Going to actually be forcing them back, forcing the flash away. And also Mikey R to slice and dice his way back towards his own tower. Now being chased down, Duskbringer will come out from Marth. They do manage to escape, but pretty much every time it's been a 50-50 smite, Mokata's come out ahead.
Yeah, bottom lane trade though.
Oh, Lucian could be falling. Barrier has been used. Is he going to tick down to that Ignite? No, he's not, surviving by the skin of his teeth, but now his comrade of Nico is definitely got that bullseye painted on his backside. He will be taken down for Makla's second kill, and they're probably going to pick up this tower as well.
Yeah, they're looking really, really strong, and as a result of Makla just being very confident in this lane, he's just gone straight for the Infinity Edge, picking up the Vampiric Scepter, something we saw a lot in kind of like Season 2, Season 3, but not so much in Season 4 is the Infinity Edge first. Lots of people just picking up Bloodthirster because it synergizes with their champions. We might just see more action.
Now Tyrannus is completely caught out. We can see Corey's damage now. Going to be jumping on for the reset. Will Marth survive this onslaught? No, he will not. And now Strategas could find himself burst down. Nope, the cavalry was not there. They're going to settle for a blue buff instead.
And Katarina is doing so much damage with this aggressive pickup of the Deathfire Grasp. Saw that go onto Gragas, he instantly died, reset came down, Mowolf got chunked out, and 2-0-2 on Katarina is usually disastrous, because on any reset champion, or any like assassin like Fizz, like Kha'Zix as well, makes it so difficult to catch back up. I like Caston, he's another great example. Kuban, again, just pushing out Mykior even when he's in his own jungle. And on top of that, Makla's got 2-0-3. He's already picked up the Infinity Edge. He's feeling very confident, very safe.
Well, definitely the case, and it's pretty much been all systems go from that first blood that he picked up at bot lane. Mykior does manage to stun Kuban underneath the tower, but really, that's not going to be enough. Paranoia comes in as well. There's the Ragnarok, instantly popped from Kuban. They've burst so much to try and pick up this kill, unable to do so. There's the explosive cast. Will the Ignite be enough? Yes, by the skin of its teeth. Now Corey comes under fire from a 5-man push courtesy of Eternity. They're going to pick up this tower. Do they want to keep pushing through mid though?
Yep, they're going to just kind of barrel this one down, and it will be taken out by Eternity. So MeetYourMakers unable to react to that 3 versus 5, but as you said, that was a huge arsenal of ultimates being popped, and it's Ward Heaven in the mid lane, and that'll be cleared up again by MeetYourMakers. So they're trying to do their own counter push. They do have their ultimates available to them, and Chuyu, again, as we've said, he just needs 1 kill to start rolling.
But you can see that straight away MeetYourMakers realise there's a big weakness and they're going to be jumping in with Corey's mechanical skill shining through, gets the kill and backs away on top of that. But you could see the aggression coming out from MeetYourMakers, even though they're a player down with Olaf still being at spawn, because Pulse, they knew that 2 or 3 ultimates had been popped to secure that kill. So they almost felt like they had freedom to just push through mid.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're just gradually getting ahead in gold, getting ahead in farm, just all over the board. They're just getting stronger. And this is something that's preying in the minds of Eternity, because they know that their team fight is just, it's good, but it's just not as good as MeetYourMakers, especially when Katarina is doing so well, Civ is doing so well, she's able to kite away from them. Fresh is basically a one-man peeling machine, so it's going to be very difficult, even with Mowoff jumping with Paranoia, to really shut down that back line.
Well, we did say this about 5-10 minutes ago, Pulse, that if the side of Eternity get behind a few thousand gold, it's going to be very difficult for them to climb back out of that hole. Now that we're starting to see Katarina and the AD carry of Makler pushing forward, yet to die, 5-0 collectively, this is really dangerous territory right now for Eternity. Flash coming in from Libic, not able to land a death sentence.
Yeah, but it's just that general aggression over the board, which is making it so difficult for Eternity to make plays. And that push in the middle lane is kind of few and far between, because they cannot escape their lanes. Kubon is keeping Mikey on the top lane. Again, as we mentioned before, he's just losing. And it's as simple as that, but no one else can 1v1 Olaf and stop him from taking the turret. But he's basically caught in the top lane.
Oh, it's a beautiful death sentence from Libic, and will actually manage to secure that kill as well. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Tyrannus is taking so much damage. Explosive cast comes out, but here comes Corey. He's got the reset. How much damage can he manage to put out here onto Mikey R and Moath as Kubon is taking point? Here comes the Paranoia from the side, forcing away Kubon with the flash. Also the flash on top of that from Corey. But are they going to be able to pursue this and pick up the kill? Duskbringer is off cooldown. We're going to have that speed up right now from Nocturne, who eats an axe to the face. And while this is all happening, AD carry support combo of Libic and also Makler's just pushing bot lane super hard. Morth is still taking damage. Renekton will be falling. Here comes Corey from the side, picks up that kill, and suddenly Eternity are miles behind in this match.
Yeah, like, it got to the point where Noxon was like, I'm getting quite low, and I'm turning into a reset for Katarina. As soon as Mikasa arrived, that's exactly what happened. They picked up the kill into Renekton, Moath was trying to run for his life, and then Chuyu just took him out from the side. So, his ultimate on only 6 more seconds, and right now, MeetYourMakers are just looking so incredibly strong, and that has not necessarily rippled off of that first kill and second kill onto Nocturne, because we saw how well Moath did. But if that hadn't happened, then I feel like Eternity would be the ones who are ahead at this stage in the game. Since Moath was doing so well in that early game, it was only those 2 extra kills and a kind of a momentum that MeetYourMakers had built up, which was making it so difficult to come back into the game. Now, with those extra kills going down to Katarina, it's only ever going to get worse. And the dupes from Chuyu! Oh, and Tarados will just bite the Death Chamber.
Wow, that was some serious dunkage right there from Corey, and Tyrannus is... You could see him, he was defeated. He just stood there, he was like, okay, pick up the kill, there's nothing I can do anymore. And again, that is another kill. 5-0 Katarina, 3-0 Sivir on top of that. Pulse, is there any way you can see Eternity bouncing back from this game? I know there's still plenty towers on the board, but it has been a very quick decline here from Eternity these last 2 minutes.
Yeah, and while that's all been happening, Olaf has just been getting ahead. He's 40 farm ahead of Mikey right now. And you can see Kubon just being quite happy to roam the map. He knows that he just go to mid lane, maybe pick up a kill, walk back up to top lane, and then Renekton would have pushed up. He pushes back out again, and then he'll just go back to mid lane. Like, he doesn't feel any pressure at all by Renekton. He knows he'll win 1 versus 1, even with dominance available. So they just have utter control over this map. Eternity, what they do have is great mobility. They've picked up the Karma, and now we've hit mid-game, you're going to be able to utilize Defiance, utilize the extra movement speed. I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking towards the Talisman of Ascension as well, indeed she is, with the Nomad's Medallion already being itemized.
Cocoon has landed on Mikey at the front lines. Oh my goodness, Corey's damage is absolutely phenomenal. Picks up that kill. Sean posts back out the fight. Mikey is taking a lot of damage though, and actually sets up a beautiful explosive cast. Morph jumps in, finishes off the support. That's going to be Corey falling as well. And suddenly the blink of an eye, it's a 2-4 on trade. Eternity coming out pretty nice there. Stratagas face tanking the bush though. He will find a very angry Viking in his face. And now here comes Makler. Full hit points. He is so huge right now with that Infinity Edge. Double kill for him, pushing through the mid lane. This should be a free tower as well.
Yeah, and Stratagas always staying around just a couple seconds too long, which was basically that entire team fight in a nutshell. Everyone just overcommitted. That was a 3-for-2 trade overall, and a tower on top of that from MeetYourMakers. But basically, Eternity could have picked up those extra kills, backed off, and been happy with it, because the tower wouldn't have gone down, they would have been alive, and they would have been able to contest any other objectives. But as it was, they got a little bit too greedy. They were in a good position to kind of follow up, but they underestimated how strong individual members of MeetYourMakers were, because they were finding themselves in those 1-versus-1 trades, and they were just being completely out-traded.
That's a very good point. I think the red mist may have descended their boss, because they're like, oh, we got a 1-for-2 trade, we must win this fight. Not realizing that Makler was at the back lines with full hit points, and is just massive right now. He is colossal, and he saw the damage firing in straight afterwards. But still, Eternity, I think they're going to take a couple of good things away from that fight. The fact that at the start of it, it went pretty much perfectly for them. So they're not completely down and out right now. There's no question of they're a long way behind.
Oh, that will be Libic picking up the red buff by himself.
I think Morth's a bit depressed right now, although they could look to get some vengeance as the Dark Passage will come out. Makler could be finding his first death. The shutdown on Gragas, that is a huge kill. 500 gold bounty to the mid lane of Tyrannus. Still though, again Morth loses a buff, and he must be feeling a bit hard done by at the moment. Coupon's running into his jungle. Does have the cavalry in the backside of Libic. This is a 4-versus-5 though, remember, so they are going to be a player down. Question is, do they have the raw damage output? Tyrannus goes in, again Paranoid used to pick up the kill on Thrash. Katarina going to be firing in, gets the reset once again. Karma has fallen. Mikey are slicing, dicing his way back towards his own tower. He should be alright. A 2-for-2 trade in a 4-versus-5. Make that a 2-for-2. In fact, it still is a 2-for-2 trade. Strange, I said that, and then another kill came up.
Yeah, indeed.
Did you see that as well?
Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna brush over that and hope just say that never happened. But Chu popping over the wall, and they will be going for a quite easy Baron. So Gragas has actually come back from base. He doesn't have his ultimate available, which would have been a huge factor in a potential steal, and they do not have the smite anywhere close. But they have to try and make this trade, and in fact, a barrel might be enough to push them away. Makler is finally respawned, and Katarina is around with all her cooldowns up.
Yeah, but it's going to be Makata securing the Baron on point once again with the smite. I don't think he's missed a single one in this game. Sure, he's made a couple mistakes, getting caught with his pants down, but when it comes to smiting Pulse, there's only been one winner in this game.
Yep, and that has definitely been Makata, who has picked up the Baron for his team. 40 seconds on the Dragon, but not a big deal when the middle is being pushed in by Eternity. They're making a good timing call, but look at the damage from Makler, even on those minions. Another result of your AD carry of Sivir being ahead is that the minion wave instantly dies, and even if Sivir is there and no one else, then they won't be pushing that tower.
They got a lot of creep clear wave as well. They got Sivir's Boomerang Blade, the Undertow from Olaf, and then Bouncing Blades from Katarina. That's pretty much going to insta-give a creep wave. There's nothing you can really do behind that, especially with Baron buff as well. So you can already see that Eternity are backing away, like, okay, we can't really stand toe-to-toe right now. Let's just try and survive a bit longer. Let's try and make some plays. If we can isolate one player away from the rest of their team, maybe we can pick it up and try and jump on top of that. Dragon has respawned, instantly going to die, and again, MeetYourMakers edging further and further ahead on that gold tally.
Yeah, and right now, Eternity is just kind of hitting the problem of they have too many squishy targets. Everyone is so... no one has really itemized very much like magic resist or just defensive items in general. And you can see like Lucian has had to delay his item build just to pick up a Negatron cloak. Because if they do get dropped in the first couple seconds of the fight, then Chuyu will sweep up everyone else after that. But Karma is still in the danger zone. So is like even Nocturne and Gragas. Like they are all just juicy targets for Chuyu to jump on.
Yep, and Kubon is so tanky that he can afford to just jump in. Are they going to engage? Smart decision I have to feel from Libic. No creeps there. That would have been full tower tanking, and that could have been one of the ways to allow Eternity back into this game. So better to play safe than sorry. Use the Baron buff here and try and make plays when you see that opportunity. And for those of you asking in chat, Chuyu is not Charu. It's the new mid laner from MeetYourMakers. He's called Corey. Hope that has cleared up some confusion.
Yeah, so right now Katarina being 7-1-5, looks like they might well go for this engagement. Mikey has been hooked.
Oh, Makata takes a lot of damage. There's Repel. Mikey, however, front lines once again. Is he going to be falling? No, he's not. As the shields will be coming down. Shutdowns, 1-for-0 trade underneath the tower. This could be the moment they look to strike. Corey, however, does have the help coming in, but will be falling regardless to that barrel roll. 2-for-0 with Baron buff. Again, Eternity come out ahead.
Yeah, and it's just MeetYourMakers being too aggressive. Like, they're trying to force the issue, and Eternity are right on it. They have limited CC, but they're committing Mikey R to shutting down Chuyu instantly. 1 second went off of the Death Lotus, Mikey R shut him down. And that is exactly what they needed. This is the second time they won a team fight. Yes, it was underneath turret, but have another couple of these messes, and they can well be on their way back into this game.
Yeah, I think one of the only things, though, that's holding them back right now is, okay, Pulse, they got 2 kills, but what are they able to do with it? Really nothing. Maybe Tyrannus is going to steal away this blue buff, but they're not able to push down towers. They're not able to get big objectives. You can see right now, only 2 towers are down from the side of Eternity, whereas 5 on the opposite side. Tyrannus has been caught out here from Makla, who actually steals with that blue buff. Is he going to get revenge? Beautiful flash from Makla, who's going to throw in the boomerang blade and completely outplay Tyrannus for the second time in this game.
Strategast has found himself Lebic, and the culling will just completely miss against the invisible Baron. Kubon is on his way. Hook will land.
That's pretty much death to Strategast right now. Both carries are going to be dead. In fact, he's going to flash away. And the Talisman of Ascension. It wasn't actually. Yes, it was. I'm doubting myself. Also on top of that was the Karma speed up. So I thought that Strategast was dead and buried, but does manage to survive using that flash summoner. With an excellent bot lane, I think MeetYourMakers are going to be very happy to just push this top.
Yep, top tower right now is just something that Eternity have to concede. It's all about trying to keep these inhibitor turrets alive, because as soon as one of those are cracked, then it makes it a whole lot easier to loop around the side and go for the engagement they really want. Because so far they're only going for like the front engagements.
Mikey R again is absorbing all that damage. This is his second consecutive tower dive. Should go better this time around, however. That being said, here comes Katarina. Will be getting the cleanup. So much damage put down. I believe that was a double kill coming in from Corey. With just 2 players remaining on Eternity, this should very well be a tower and potentially an inhibitor afterwards.
Those are 3 players dropping very low by MeetYourMakers that he had to be very careful. Strategast and his support of Nikos will make sure that they will just make their lives difficult. Makla's being chased down. Strategast, this might be his time to shine.
Yeah, defensive ult put down, but here comes Corey's damage. He is going to pick up another one alongside the ace of Makla, and that is pretty much going to be a game and a match here. For MeetYourMakers, they can just juggle this damage onto the towers. They have the creep wave coming in, some short death time is coming about, but I feel they should be able to finish this game. In fact, the surrender comes in anyway.
Yeah, Kubon was hardly taking any damage from that, and they actually get themselves 2 shutdowns, so maybe they shouldn't have surrendered. But there we go. They've just felt like the game was up. They didn't want to go any further with it, jumping to the second game of this best of 3, which makes a lot of sense because that game was definitely not going their way with a 16k gold deficit.
Pretty brutal at the end, but to be fair, Pulse, we did say this in Champion Select. We could see the pitfalls of this composition. It didn't have great deals of CC to play against Katarina. And on top of that, it's a kind of composition that if you fall behind, you quickly fall down a hill. And it's very difficult to climb your way back out. Plus the fact that at the end there, combined the carries finish on 18 kills and 4 deaths. Pretty significant as to why Eternity lost that game.
Yeah, you've got to kind of stay stay afloat as the team of Eternity, because they had a teamfight composition, they had a mobility composition. Mobility will not help you if you get there before your opponents and then die, because you need to be able to fight them and defend instead of just arriving just to be butchered and get into the grinding machine. That was Chu Yu with something like 2,000 damage over 3 seconds on his ultimate, which turns out to be